Welcome to Pending and Trending. I am your host, Deidre Quinn, and this podcast is all about helping real estate agents stay ahead in today's fast-moving market. With over 20 years of experience and a passion for building relationships, I bring you the latest tips, trends, and strategies to elevate you and your business. Whether you're looking to dominate a niche, stay sharp on industry shifts, or build your own generational wealth, you are in the right place. Let's get to it, because what's trending today can get you pending tomorrow. Welcome back to Pending and Trending. Today we're going to deep dive into purpose-led investing, and I am here with Sergio Altomare with Hearth Fire Holdings. He is a seasoned real estate investor and technology expert with over 2 decades of experience in the Federal Reserve and real estate. He is the leader of Hearth Fire Holdings. Sergio oversees management of more than $150 million in self-storage assets and has a proven track record with 9 successful exits and an average over 25% internal rate of return. His unique combination of technical expertise and real estate investment knowledge allows him to apply advanced data analysis and institutional grade modeling, financial modeling, to identify high value investment opportunities. He's passionate about risk management and due diligence. Sergio's here to share how technology driven approach can deliver superior returns in real estate private equity. Thank you for being with us today, Sergio.
Thanks, Deidre. Great to be on with you.
So let's talk first about wealth through community and purpose-led real estate. Why does purpose matter in development?
The way that I think about it from what started our journey in real estate investing and sharing that was leading with providing value to, first and foremost, our family, friends, and broader network and community. And now going on 15 years, my wife and I, we originally discovered real estate as an investment platform for ourselves, diversifying our day job income. And as we've learned more and discovered more, it was really important for us to figure out how to best extend that and share it with others. The wealth, to me, is a tagline that we have within our company is wealth is a game best played together. So the idea here is that as we learn something new and we share and have some success, that it's worth sharing. We acquire, we develop, and otherwise provide value throughout our investment portfolio. And it started with a friends and family investor community and now has grown to over 300 investors. We partner with institutional investors, family offices, and the like. So it really comes down to scaling and having a different view of wealth. Our view of wealth is beyond just financial and economic means. We look at wealth as being an overall healthy, moral, strong way of living. And that's our guiding light. And it permeates in everything that we do.
That's great. That's great. So how do you create value beyond profit in a real estate project? And how do you measure that?
So our value from a platform perspective really comes down to, yes, our bread and butter is developing, acquiring value add self-storage properties. So the economic value add from that perspective is pretty straightforward, right? These are independent fund investments that either generate current cash flow or have a 5-year return projection. Beyond that, our goal is always to provide value across all the pillars of life. The pillars of life that we have is faith, family, finances, and fitness. Really, through all those pillars, probably less of the faith because that's more a personal aspect. We're a very faithful family. We're strong practicing Catholics. Beyond that, as we have grown our community, our objective is always to share what we learn, who we know with our community, and be able to provide, I wouldn't necessarily call them shortcuts in life because anything worth doing is worth doing well and requires a lot of work and effort. But through working with over 300 mostly high and super high net worth individuals, you get a different perspective on a lot of things, even in things like nutrition, exercise, you name it. And so we try to bring everything and everyone that we know to our community to create a bigger community. So that's our wealth effect and transfer there. We've had the great privilege of being able to introduce people, even crazy as it sounds, relationships that have established actual girlfriend, boyfriend type of things and beyond that, just by connecting people. So I think that it's a pretty special way to live. And that's something that we do. When we speak to an investor, I lead with value. I don't say my immediate objective is to get you to invest with us. My immediate objective is to explore what you've got going on. Where are you at in life? Where are you at financially? And sometimes what I found is that we are not the best investment option, right? In some cases, it's like your business is doing well, you're doing great economically and financially. Maybe the best investment is something in yourself. I've told a number of investors, don't invest with me, reinvest in your company, reinvest in your education, and then come back to me when there's excess cash and you're able to be an investor. There's a difference between making an investment and being an investor, right? You can go out and buy a supplement or a gym membership, okay? That is making an investment in something, but the actual investment in moving forward with the exercise, the nutrition, the everything else requires a lot more work. So there's a difference there, and that's what we want to provide with our investors is just broader awareness. Same thing with our team. 30% of our team, that we're 20 some odd employees now, have invested in our deals. And our goal is to provide them with awareness, education, that there's a great opportunity to share in the journey of what we're all building.
That's great. That's great. I love that. And it really is about the whole person. And I love your pillars there. I think that's great. So, can let's just talk for a minute. Is it just high net worth individuals, or do you have opportunities for people along all scales to invest?
Yeah, so we started with friends and family, and we did not come from a high net worth community, right? So our initial probably 7 to 8 or 9 years was strictly 506B investments, which means that they are limited to friends and family that you have a pre-existing relationships, do not require accreditation status. Now, in the SEC or the regulatory world, that's a high hurdle to overcome, which means you can't publicly market investment opportunities. So right now, our community continues to grow. We invite anybody in to join our community. And then from there, once we have a relationship, we do a lot of activities. We do a lot of webinars. We do a lot of in-person events that aren't all geared toward just investments in our deals. But once we have a pre-existing relationship, then there's opportunities. And typically we try to target one or two investments that at least have a window of opportunity for non-accredited investors. We do a little better job now of screening those individuals, only because, and what I mean by that is, we don't want to limit the opportunity, but it's not the right thing for everyone. You have to understand that it is an investment and what are the time constraints with it. Somebody may intellectually understand that it's a 5-year equity investment, but once they invest their funds, if they're not an active investor, 2 years later, they may not realize that it's still just 2 years, and they're inquiring about the status and everything. So now the way that we look at it is just make sure that as an investor, that if this is something you're getting started, clean up your house first, meaning that make sure that you've got your personal investments in order, including personal, your own business, et cetera, et cetera. And then we want you to be an investor over the long haul, because you have to continue. It's about time investing, the number of investments that really make a difference. One investment in 5 years that, yes, the goal is to make that a 2x investment. So 50,000, we wanted to turn into 100,000 in 5 years. But if that's the only $50,000 you invest, then, and that happens to be the one deal where the market goes sideways or that doesn't go as planned, because there are risks. I don't want that to be your only investment. I want you to be able to commit to, maybe it's not 50,000, maybe it's $25,000. But if you can get on a schedule where you can invest $25,000 twice a year or every 18 months, that builds the investing mindset, that builds the investing muscle. So that is more important. Another option that we target is retirement funds. Those are typically funds, 401ks, IRAs that come from a different employer. They are a better strategy to invest because you can diversify those funds, and just by their nature, you can set it and forget it. So that is, we don't want to create stress, economic, financial stress for people, is leads to a lot of challenges. We want to be a solution, not compounding. And sometimes finances, investing concepts are not for everyone. But the short answer is yes, we do have investment options for non-accredited investors. They're not as often as the market will allow, but we do that.
That's great. Okay, thank you very much. That's very helpful. And how would somebody learn more about that? Would they go on your website to find that and connect with you that way?
Yeah, so there's a whole education platform that it's not a formal, it's not a training thing, but if someone were to go on our website and sign up for our mailing list, for example, they'll get our newsletters, they'll get a whole host of things. We're not big sales oriented, we're product oriented, meaning that our expectations are our reputation, our track record is what draws people to us. I've been on a number of podcasts. We have a lot of resources on our website, a lot of videos. So it's really getting access. And over time, you get that exposure, right? Attend some of our events, whether you're far away or close by, you get to meet other investors. You get to connect with other individuals that have been part of our community for a long period of time. We've had some friends that we've known and talked about investing for 2 years before they made their first investment. They're now more advanced investors because it took a while to get over the fear or uncertainty part of it, because it's new. You're not going to turn on the TV and hear about alternative investing. That requires a level of self-awareness, self-education, and then pouring into it. But once you're exposed to it, then you realize there is a whole nother world of being able to generate double-digit returns on your money. I look at it, you mentioned AI earlier and technology. As technology advances, and now we're in the dawn of AI, there's no excuse to not be able to learn more and fast about things, being able to inquire, do due diligence, and all of that. So we lead with awareness, education, and then over time, when somebody's really ready, then it makes it far easier.
Yeah, yeah. So bringing AI into that, you mentioned AI, and that's a focus. I've really been focusing on AI from my perspective as well. And it's really transforming the world that we live in. We can certainly agree to that. It's not a trend, it's not going away, it's a transformation. How are you leveraging AI, and how do you see that impacting your business going forward?
First and foremost, my background is in technology. Somewhere back there is my degree. I haven't gotten around to hanging it up. We moved into our office back in late February, so we're still settling in here. But my background, I spent 20 years in technology, and this is even installing the first internet connected computers at the Federal Reserve. So it goes way back. So I've got a unique perspective from being an investor and a real estate expert. AI should be thought about as an advanced analytics platform. What does that mean? That means that it's not just a search engine. A search engine, if you use Google and you say shoes or self-storage near me, it's going to give you search results. The power of AI is in the capabilities of being able to evaluate one idea or one bit of data against another and find trends and find patterns. So in our world, what we use it for, use it everything from analyzing multiple AI documents, multiple pieces of data, say in asset management, a financial package of a storage property versus performance package from our property manager, and then be able to find those trends. So as an investor, you can upload the PPM, the pitch decks, you can upload all of these things at once and then ask questions of it as if you were talking to, say, an investor relations associate. So the way to think about it is, how do I take what might seem like abstract ideas and data points and analyze them? Of course, there are creatives and things that you can do with writing and all of that, but you have to be careful to not embark on things that you truly don't understand in its raw form. What I mean by that is, many people are using AI to ghostwrite content. If you don't really know the content itself, you could get into trouble. A good example is somebody who's not a medical professional that may upload or ask a question on some health related topic and get a reply or get content, but maybe it's out of context and you're going to relay that as if it's your own. That can be dangerous. You've got to be able to be an expert first and foremost on what you are exploring, evaluating, analyzing. And then from there, you can be able to glean some insight. That's the content producing side of it. The research and analytics side of it is very powerful. And then there's everything in between, organizing thoughts. I use it. I'm a Notion guy. We use Notion as a productivity platform. I'm able to just audibly dictate what are my priorities for the week in just random form, and then just ask Notion to organize it in terms of priority, give me some insights, create a to-do list, and that kind of thing. So you can use it really creatively. I look at AI as being the ultimate efficiency tool to get more in the creative space. Our lives are full of busyness. So you want to be less busy and more creative. Our natural juices, our natural child instincts are really about being creative and play. And so when you learn the power of technology and AI to create those efficiencies and get you back or more into the creative space, powerful things really can happen.
That's great. That's great. So you're using it to enhance what you do, and then it's not taking away your what you do, and it's not taking away all the jobs and misconception that people think. You're using that information then to analyze it and really to do to be better at what you do and use it as efficiently in that way. Now you mentioned trends, and let's talk about that a little bit. And what are some emerging trends that in your industry in alternative investing?
So the biggest trend, and it's not new, is access, meaning that the laws that really have brought some of the alternative investing and syndication platforms for specifically made them more trendy or available goes back to 2012, which is the Tax Act and the Tax and Jobs Act. That brought it mainstream. And so now we're 13 years into it. Access to all types of funds and private investments they're readily available, crowdfunding sources, et cetera. Now, it also has created trends where literally everybody and their mother can create an investment, right? So everybody's able to raise capital and make investments, good and bad, right? It provides access and alternatives for individual investors. Can be bad because you don't know who or what you're investing in. And this goes back to what I was talking about earlier. If you're not really aware and an expert, just hearing something can generate 20%. Is it real or is it not real? So I think the biggest trends is access to alternative investing is at an all-time high, including things that historically have been reserved for institutional investors, things like private equity roll-ups, private credit options, real estate syndications. crypto. A lot of these things have slowly coming to the forefront. All kinds of creative ETFs, trading platforms, big picture alternative investments are there. AI gives you a better and faster way to do due diligence. But again, you have to do due diligence on feasibility, viability. There are a lot of over promises. The other big trend to look at is that something that's been going on in real estate specifically over the last few years, in that interest rates climbed higher and faster than they ever have. And what that means is for alternative investors, there is a downstream impact in syndications and investments that started a couple of years ago. So, a trend that we've seen is that there are a lot of investments out there that aren't doing so well. There's a lot of loans that are being modified, a lot of things happening behind the scenes that maybe need to come more to the forefront. So I would say that there are some good trends, negative trends. I think the main trend that I look at is in the alternative space is that there are a lot more opportunities for strong yields and returns in alternative investing, but you have to do due diligence more so on the platform, the operator, and everything else. But the access is there. It's important for people to be exposed to some degree to alternative investing because the cost of living continues to go up, accelerate. So unless I've said this and I've lived my life this way for a very long period of time, that unless your income or wealth is growing 10% per year, you're actually getting poorer, not richer. And you don't realize the strain that it happens in our day-to-day lives. You walk out of the grocery store with 2 bags and $300 less. And you're like, what happened? When did all this happen? Shrinkflation. I'm a contributor in a number of media outlets these days. I wrote an article or contributed to an article from the Epoch Times the other day, and I was just interviewed from another media outlet talking about inflation, shrinkflation, and all these things. So it's incrementally eating or eroding of our wealth and income. So it is an important trend to get on, which is alternative investing, double-digit returns. I'm not just talking about Hearthfire and with us, because there are a lot of options out there. That's an important trend to consider.
Excellent. That's extremely helpful. Now, we spoke in the beginning about, you mentioned that prioritizing your pillars, and what are some of the practical habits for alignment with an organization such as yours? And you, in some of the things that I read about you pre podcast here, you talked about avoiding burnout while scaling. Can you touch base on a few of those?
Yeah. So to me, the there's the business side of things, right? We mentioned company and platform. I think of it more of a personal housekeeping, purpose led life, right? So what are we really driving towards? If financially money and income is at the top of your pillar, it's easy, right? What I mean by that, it's very easy to make money. All you have to do is just look at any influencer, right? Influencers just go out there, they do selfie videos all day long and get followers, and then they monetize it with some ads, right? I don't get it, but it's there, right? It's a way to do it. It's got to be driven into something underlying. What are you really passionate about? And if it starts and stops with money or economic means, you can do well, but it may leave you hollow inside. So purpose has to be stronger. For many people, it's family. What about your family? What is the purpose of your family? Is it to go out and have ice cream and have a good time all day long? Or is it impact driven? Is it really creating value? How do you sit down at the dinner table and review the day, the week with your family? I have an 8-year-old little girl. We live on a farm. We're very intentional with life, with our faith, with our church, with the communities. All of the communities that we are plugged in, we want to bring value to our communities, our friends and family first, and then we try to share impact in the world. And that's a purpose and intentional life. If it's all about, if your first and last thing that you think about is money, you're going to miss the mark. So I think it leads with value. Where do you want to make impact in life? And then you just create those habits that allow you to do that, right? Whether it's fitness, for me, meditation. I've been a meditator since for 20 plus years. I discovered meditation when I dealt with my own anxiety issues and whatnot. And and our faith with our family is paramount, right? What are we trying to achieve in life? And it really comes down to our own impact. I'm not trying to save the world, right? I'm not one of those people that is, you're not going to come on our website and see that I'm feeding kids in Africa and that kind of thing, right? Our goal is to provide support and love. And not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying in many cases, people do things that they think sound good or look good, but their own house is not in order. So for us, we're in the process of starting a nonprofit, Firethorn Farm Foundation. We live on a farm. It's a 10-acre farm in Westchester, Pennsylvania. It is a passion of ours to get back with nature, because we find that nature, earth, soil grounds us, animals, grounds us into who we are truly as beings and what separates us from computers and everything else. And then understanding how all of the different components of that provide nourishment, right? That's a fundamental part of life, is you got to eat, knowing where your food comes from, growing your own food. From there, it really is looking at the therapies, PTSD with military vets. We love our country. We love what our vets do. We're exploring bee therapy. Honeybees do have therapeutic components. So that's part of our program. Sustainability, self-sustainability, and education around all of that. So that's part of our big driver. So as we get involved in something that we find attractive in our lives, we want to immerse ourselves in there. I know a lot of wealthy families that just travel and do all of that and do a lot of things, but I sense many are still got a little void. Now, that's true for everybody, including ourselves. We're always striving for who are we, what are we, and where we are going. So it really gets grounded into feeling good across all pillars, where you are weak in one area, educate, contribute, do what's uncomfortable to get comfortable in that space, if that's a place that you want to pour into. So that's our guiding light. With that, we surround ourselves, our team members here are all morally aligned. And from there, it's a fine life. We get one shot at this, make it fun, make it excited, make it purposeful, intentional, and impactful.
Love it. Love it. That's a great way to sum up exactly what you said there. Purposeful and a life of intention. Do you have any one last thing that you'd like to share with our listeners that would be helpful to them going forward?
I think it goes back to intention and purpose. And really, sometimes what we think is a problem in our life is really just a conscious deflection or distraction from what is really needing. Relationships and finances are two most prominent parts of our lives that we tend to focus on in being able to take stock or keep score on how well we are doing, when in reality, it's really what's in our subconscious, really what is driving us. So constantly asking ourselves, why are we doing this? Spending time being mindful, observing what you are doing, what you're not doing. If you want to make impactful change for yourselves, and I've constantly, my own body and mind is my own laboratory. For anybody that's known me at 180 pounds and 130 pounds over the course of 2 years. I once was a social coordinator where I worked at the Fed, and now I'm more of a homebody. I don't drink alcohol. I'm very church focused. So transformation is very possible if you think about it from that lens. It's not making a 2-week change. Like I know a lot of people are able to, hey, I'm going to slow down my drinking for 30 days, and they get to 30 days and then they're back. And to me, it's really continuously evaluating who we are, what we're doing, and what are our objectives in life. And our objectives are really to the race to live in now. How do we get back to now with making sure that every moment, every day is lived in the highest of highs? It's never going to be always on the up and up. There are bad days. Suffering is a part of life. So trying to avoid suffering is a fool's errand. You look at the greatest teachers, spiritual teachers in the world, and there are lows, and lows are okay because lows give us the opportunity to grow and learn from them. So I guess the essence there of is really practice being mindful, self-aware, and not really just latching on to the trendy issue or thing that you're trying to solve for, and really focus on driving through life with a focus on what's actually happening. I read through one of my coaches, I work with a company called CEO Coaching International, and I've been part of that program for a number of years. And so I have my own coach. And one of the best recommendations that I got was reading the book Letting Go. And we try to overly control and steer our lives. And sometimes we need to take a step back and say, what's actually happening? And how do I immerse myself in actually what's unfolding in front of me, and going with that flow rather than always being, and this is coming from somebody that's very structured and regimented. Now there's a lot more free flow in my life, and it gives a level of comfort. So
That's great. Thanks for sharing that. That's helpful.
absolutely.
And I love learning about books that others learn
Yeah.
from and live by, and I'll put it on my list there. So
I've got a
Sergio,
very eclectic library.
I no, me too.
Yeah.
So, Sergio, thank you so much for being on today as we wrap up today's conversation. One thing is clear: building purposeful wealth isn't just about strategy, it's about intention. And I love how you've gone about that. If today's episode resonated with you, share it with someone who's ready to invest with purpose. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a story that inspires action. Until next time, keep building with purpose and keep the fire lit. Sergio, thank you very much.
Thanks, Deidre.
That's a wrap on this episode of Pending and Trending, where hot meets what's happening in real estate. If you found today's conversation helpful, we'd love for you to hit follow or subscribe, leave a quick review, and share the episode with fellow agent or industry pro. Got a trend, tip, or hot take we should be talking about? Send it our way, and we might feature it in an upcoming episode. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, stay sharp, keep your transactions in motion, and let your energy keep trending.